afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure to be here amongst you today. And taking off from what Mr. Owen from the British High Commissioner spoke, I would like to give you a different facet to what the technology or the IT-enabled industry is going to contribute to the economy of the country and the globe in particular. So we are living in an era which is called a very challenging space because we are in a state of transformation. And the transformation is because of frontier technologies. So they are like AI, big data, cybersecurity, cloud computing, robotic process automation, augmented virtual reality, blockchain, 3D printing, 4D printing, and finally I will even come to the space of quantum computing. So if I go further and I talk about generative AI, machine learning, deep learning, large language models, and club them with generative AI, I have a fabulous tool that can actually transform the way we live, learn, and work. So having said this, the National Association of Software and Service Companies contributes to literally 8.5% of the GDP annually. We have a human resource of member companies, which is about 92% of the IT/ITES industry, leading to 4.2 million people, direct employees, and about 12 million indirect employees. This indirect employees is very interesting because technology is cutting across, the frontier technologies are cutting across agriculture, manufacturing, retail, banking, healthcare, real estate, gem and jewelry, furniture making, travel, tourism, name it, and last but not the least, education. So having said that, the way we actually monopolize and actually learn to ride the wave is that the gap is never going to end. It's how you're going to approach the learning, both formal and non-formal, to continuously upskill, upgrade yourselves, employees, government employees, faculty, governors and governance of the university or the educational structure need to also know the competencies required from individuals to nurture the frontier technologies and the skills thereof. So to tell you this transformation that we're talking of, I need to give you a brief about the future of work. Most of you think that if you have a good school education, higher education of 3 years or 4 years and a master's, you study for about 18 to 20 years when you're 21, 22, and you are able to live off that for the next 30 years of your life. But with longevity, you might live more and need to still basically earn. That means you have to be employable because of the purchase power parity of the rupee in India, as well as the global currency elsewhere in the world. The problems in India are not unique. It's a global phenomenon. So what we are talking of is a floating digital workforce. What links with the Prime Minister's view is that India should be the talent hub of the world with technology integrating into our educational system as it has already integrated itself to every aspect of other sectors will actually be a dream come true. So what we did in the G20 was put a proposition and said, if we need a global workforce, can the skills certificates in India, in AP, Telangana, and all the premier states be recognized globally? So UNESCO came forward and said, hey, why not take the National Skills Qualification Framework, which is a competency mapping of skills in India, and compare them to UK, to the USA, to Vietnam, to Korea, to Japan, to Canada, to Australia, New Zealand, and all the G20 countries, Russia included. Everybody said yes, because the rate at which these skills are changing far outpaces the training time taken. So it's very clear that all countries said, by the time I train somebody, 6 months down the line, the post for the job has changed. So what am I going to do? So investment into bridging skills is a constant factor. So it means that an individual who is, say, a civil engineer needs to know much about Halo roads. He needs to know about 3D printing. He needs to know how to use IoT. He needs to know how to use cloud computing, constantly make his work. If I have mechanical engineering, about 3,200 parts in the mechanical engineering part has now dwindled to 30 parts, and the rest is all technology. The body of the car is actually now material science. That I have electronics into it, converts wind energy, light energy, heat. Electrical energy is therefore generated through the rotational energy. So I need new types of roads, I need new types of charging centers, I need autonomous vehicles. So the list goes on in every space. If it's healthcare too, you will already invest. Having said this, what is it that we are going to do in the educational space? One thing AP has done, it has actually brought in concepts of design thinking, critical thinking, attention to detail, learning ability, coding and solutioning into the school system by signing up with the international baccalaureate community. From 6th standard onwards, they want to actually bring something called future skills into their educational program. By actually, they have done is dwindle the socially useful productive work timetable and brought this in, augments well for the state. But what do I do with those we have in the higher education space? You have BSc, BComs, BBA, BCAs, and these guys, 3 years down the line, I've locked them into a program of learning, and at the end of it, they're not employable. I have engineering graduates here, you have EEE, and you have CS and IT and civil and chemical and mechanical, 4-year learning, still not employable. So what do we do with this? If I have the medical field, I need doctors who know how to work with robotic process automation, know how to use AI and the cloud to do operations. Likewise, just like you have a medical college linked to a learning hospital, you need to have universities and colleges linked to industry. They have to be extensions of each other, because now industry is looking for hybrid workplaces. Nowhere are we going to have you study and you are employable in one company for about the next 15 to 20 years. It doesn't work. There is going to be the sport of the gig economy, which means you are employed for a small period of time, 6 months, 9 months, to complete a project. You get yourself a skills certificate, which basically says you're a 5-star rating, and you are employable globally. So sitting here in India, in AP, you can work any country in the world as long as your certificate is recognized. So therefore, the certification and the mapping of skill sets in India, AP, to the rest of the world is an important critical composition. Is it viable? Is it possible? Yes. This is what industry is doing today. We are reinventing ourselves. We have told people, you can come to office 2 days a week or not at all. I'm now hiring people from all across the world because I don't have the skill sets here because the enterprise requires it. Now, if you go and talk the same story in China, in Korea, in Dubai, the scenario is the same. They say, we don't want to lose the enterprise in our country because we don't have the skill set. Can I hire an Indian who is ready, but whose competency is actually validated through a process internationally? You got to think differently and out of the box. So the things that we are recommending is this to start with. One, what this industry has done and said is, this nature of skills, especially in the frontier technology, so changing so fast. By the time I teach the teachers and they teach the students, the technology has changed. My work requirement has changed. It is not the problem of the ecosystem. It's the nature of technology in this fourth industrial revolution. Every industrial revolution had 100 years to absorb the change. In this industrial revolution, we found that the change is happening. What happened in 100 years is happening in about 3 to 4 years. So we have to have different models of how we work. So one of the key models is one, you already started the school process, right? Now the higher education process, we are offering programs like, say, BSc, full stack web developer. We're saying we have a BCom, data science. I will have a BCA or a BBA. I will actually bring in cybersecurity. This is for the non-engineering stream. Why do I harp on that? 10.5 million graduates come out of India every year, out of which about 20% are basically in the engineering community, and the rest is a non-engineering community. We hire around about 15% of them every year, but the rest are not there. Not their fault, not the problem of their educational institution or the students' learning capability. It's that we don't have a systemic plan to make the change fast enough for us to get them absorbed. So we recommend this. We are open to talking to the Secretary and letting this get absorbed. And then we have launched with the Ministry of IT what is called the Future Skills Prime platform. Free courses in AI, big data, cyber security, cloud computing, augmented virtual reality, member companies of NASSCOM, Google, Microsoft, Adobe. Then you can have Cisco, everybody offering, Red Hat offering courses. Now the article that we have done is got every one of them NSQF aligned. The moment it's NSQF aligned, it is credit equivalent. The moment it is credit equivalent, you can integrate it into your formal program of learning. Cut down 40% of what is there, irrelevant, because this educational system was geared for yesterday. I need at least 40% of your credits, bring in future technologies, and change this every year. Everything will be online, which means you need to have hardware, which is your laptops or connectivity. You have smart classrooms everywhere, and you need the fiber. I have the content, I have the courseware, I have the industry behind me, I have the credits. We need your intention to work together. So ladies and gentlemen, with this, it's a time to say, basically, what we have, Mr. Tolstoy has also said, it's the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Skilling, upskilling, and reskilling is the future. We shake hands on it. We have promises for NASSCOM, but we have miles to go before we sleep. Any questions? Thank you so much.
That was Dr. Sandhya Chintaram, Executive Director, ITS Sector Skill Council, VP NASSCOM. And as you have rightly said, I'll take a cue from what you have said at the end, that skilling, reskilling, upskilling, that is the future. And technology is changing every day. So we have to look at the frontier technologies as well. And we have to upgrade ourselves according to the need of what the industry is looking for. And for that, again, government, academy, industry all have to come together and work together. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandhya Chintaram. Can you have a huge round of applause for her, please? And I request Srimati B. Navya, IS, Directorate of Employment and Training, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Ma'am, if you can come on stage and kindly hand over a small token of appreciation to Dr. Sandhya Chintaram, please. Thank you so much. With this, we move to the next segment of National Skin Conclave Andhra Pradesh region.